Tarkir Dragonstorm welcomes us back to one of the most beloved planes in all of Magic the Gathering. If you love 3-colored guilds, big beefy dragons, spell slinging, and fresh new mechanics, then you are in for a treat. I'm NicPlz, and today we are breaking down some of the best new cards from Tarkir Dragonstorm for Limited, Standard, and Commander. My co-writer Sasha Jelton and I have made lists of strong cards that we believe will be showing up at a table near you. First up, we have the format of Limited. Whether it's a pre-release or a draft, the 3-colored guilds offer a unique experience when building a deck. First, we want to call out the new mechanic Omen. Now these cards look a lot like adventure cards at first glance, but instead of going to exile after you cast the left side, you instead shuffle the card into your library. Now the power ranges on these cards depending on what you're building. However, the value and flexibility of these cards is awesome in a limited setting. They offer a dynamic slot in your deck as a spell that you can cast early on, or they can be cast as a top-end dragon creature threat to dominate the board. Keep an eye out for these at common, uncommon, and rare slots in your packs. Since the Omen cards are dragons, they synergize perfectly with the Behold cycle at common. Every one of these, except blues, is an efficient removal spell that gets even better if you have a dragon in your hand or in play. Now as we dive into each color, we'll be calling out limited cards that you should keep an eye out when building your deck. For white, we are excited about the synergies with the new Mobilize mechanic. The new creature card Dalkovon Pack Beast illustrates this perfectly. It's a 0/4 with Vigilance and Mobilize 3. Whenever this creature attacks, create 3 tapped and attacking 1/1 red warrior creature tokens. Sacrifice them at the beginning of your next end step. Flooding the board with 1/1s is great, but then you have more options with other cards. Salt Road Pack Beast is a 4/3 for 6, but reduced by 1 generic for each creature you control. Play this Pack Beast during your second main phase after you attack with the other Pack Beast, and you could potentially be playing this for only 1 or 2 mana. Plus when this enters, you draw a card. Now Sun Pearl Kirin is an awesome flash flying creature for 2 mana. When this creature enters, return up to 1 other target non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. If it was a token, draw a card. Now you could bounce something like the enchantment Teeming Dragonstorm, then replay it again to get another ETB of making 2 2/2 white soldier tokens. Or again, with the Mobilize mechanic, you could target a token creature during your second main phase and then draw a card. Now the flurry ability is going to be super strong in this set, and a blue card that highlights this well is Wing Blade Disciple, a 2/2 flyer for 3 and flurry. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, create a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying. Outside of Spellslinger decks, there are still lots of self-bounce options in this set. The aura card Wingspan Stride is a perfect example. For 1 blue, you can give enchanted creature +1/+1 in flying. Not a bad way to make a threat more evasive. But for 3 mana, you can also bounce this aura and then recast it, this greatly helping with the flurry abilities. Now Sib Sig Appraiser is awesome at getting card advantage and playing into graveyard decks. A 2/1 creature that has, when it enters, look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the other into your graveyard. This is an awesome common that helps you find action as well as fill your yard. Now the Artifact Essence Anchor has a lot going on for it if you are in a graveyard deck. At the beginning of your upkeep, Surveil 1. This extra card selection and self-mill provides great value on its own, but it also has a little bit more. You can tap it and create a 2/2 black zombie druid creature token. It has to be during your turn and only if a card left your graveyard this turn, which in this set there are plenty of ways to do. And lastly, a standout blue is a removal aura Fresh Start. For 2 mana, it has flash, and enchanted creature gets -5, -0, and loses all abilities, essentially turning that creature into a wall. Now for black, we're loving Alchemist's Assistant, a 2/1 with lifelink, and renew for 1 generic and 1 black. Exile this card from your library, put a lifelink counter on target creature. Activate only as a sorcery. Putting a lifelink counter on a big beefy threat or flyer late in the game can quickly turn the tide in a game when you are on the back foot. Now another solid creature with Mobilize 1 is Venerated Stormsinger. Whenever this creature or another creature controlled dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. The Blood Artist effect is real nice, plus with the Mobilize effect, it makes it a bit of a self-contained engine. Now Desperate Measures is a fun combat trick for an instant for only 1 black mana. Target creature gets +1, -1 until end of turn. When it dies under your control this turn, draw 2 cards. Easily turn a safe attack or a block by your opponent into a trade that also draws you 2 cards. Now speaking of removal spells, Dragon's Prey at 3 mana being common and an instant is really not that bad. This spell costs 2 more to cast if it targets a dragon, destroy target creature. A solid instant speed removal spell that doesn't require being heavy in black. If your opponent plays dragons, they will generally be coming out later in the game, so the additional cost is really less of an issue. Now for red, of course we have some hot spells. A standout creature is Fleeting Effigy, a 2/2 for 1 with haste. At the beginning of your end step, return this creature to its owner's hand. Plus you can pump it for +2/+0 for 3 mana. This is an awesome aggro card that can also enable your flurry abilities. Additionally, the creature's shocking sharpshooter will be powerful and limited. It has reach, and whenever another creature you control enters, this creature deals 1 damage to target opponent. This has an impact tremors-like ability and works really well with immobilized cards. Plus, having reach in this set is a nice little bonus. Now for removal, of course, red has got you covered. For 1 red mana, Channel Dragonfire deals 2 damage to any target. Plus, it has Harmonize for 5 generic and 2 red. At first glance, this Harmonize may look like an expensive cost for only 2 damage, but that Harmonize ability has built-in cost reduction. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its Harmonized cost. You may tap a creature you control to reduce the cost by X, where X is its power, then exile this spell. Harmonize is essentially flashback with an option to dramatically reduce the cost. Make sure to pay attention to this keyword when building your decks no matter the color combinations. Now, Overwhelming Surge is a lot like a Braid, but you can choose both options. It deals 3 damage to target creature and or destroy target non-creature artifact. Now moving on to green. For 1 mana, Dragon Sniper has a lot going on for it. It's a 1/1 with Vigilance, Reach, and Death Touch. This will be a real thorn in your opponent's side, especially if you get some 1/1 counters on it. And a Knock Wayfarer is also amazing. When this creature enters, mill 3 cards. You may put a land card from among them into your hand. If you don't, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Awesome for enabling graveyard synergies and helping you hit your land drops. Now a little higher in the curve, we have Inspirited Vanguard. A 3/2 for 5 with whenever this creature enters or attacks, it endures 2. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on it or create a 2/2 white spirit creature token. Pumping itself or making a creature every time it enters or attacks makes this a must-answer threat for your opponents. And lastly, in green, we have the reprinted Snakeskin Veil for 1 green. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It gains hexproof until end of turn. This is essentially a counterspell in green that can fizzle your opponent's removal spell and pump your creature. You really can't be mad at this one in any green deck. Now for multicolored spells, it is awesome to see hybrid mana. In this set, it will be very common to at least dip into a 3rd color. At 3 mana, these cards are great value, but even at 4, they're still not too bad. This set has plenty of powerful 3-colored cards, but these will almost always be a safe bet. Next, we have the beloved format of Standard. We can't cover all the great cards here, so we'll be picking 1 from each color that we're most excited about. These are cards that Sasha and I both feel have a lot of potential for players to brew around with. For colorless, we have Ugin, Eye of the Storms. Even at 7 mana, this Planeswalker is worth building around. When you cast the spell, exile up to 1 target permanent that's 1 or more colors. And whenever you cast the colorless spell, exile up to 1 target permanent that's 1 or more colors. The +2 gaining 3 life and drawing a card is just incredibly strong. The 0 ability can give you an immediate rebate of 3 colorless mana to cast something, to exile even more cards the turn you play it. And the ultimate is certainly winning the game in the right deck. Search your library for any number of colorless non-land cards, exile them, then shuffle. Until end of turn, you may cast those cards without paying their mana cost. This will be a very powerful payoff for ramp decks to swing the game in their favor. Now in white, we are loving the Planeswalker Elsbeth Stormslayer. If 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many tokens are created instead. This is going to pair so well in decks that are already making mass tokens. And at 5 mana, it's excellent value alongside its abilities. The +1 ability will net you 2 1/1 white soldier tokens. The 0 ability gives +1/+1 counters on all of your creatures, and then gives them flying until end of turn. This itself can be a game closer. And the -3, destroy target creature an opponent controls with mana value 3 or greater. This is a great option to something that can be used immediately after casting, making Elsbeth a very versatile Planeswalker. Now for blue, we have the sorcery card Winter Night Stories. For 2 generic and a blue, draw 3 cards. Then discard 2 cards unless you discard a creature card. And the harmonizing ability makes it even better, allowing you to tap a creature to reduce the cost of its power. This has the opportunity to essentially be pay 1 blue and tap a 4 power creature, draw 3 cards, and discard a creature. Incredible value for a deck that's trying to churn through its library. Now in black, we have Rock Curse Rakshasa, a 5/5 trampler for 2 mana that will likely work best in an aggro deck. That's because it has Decay. This creature can't block. When it attacks, sacrifice it at the end of combat. Additionally, it has Renew for X and 2 black. Exile this card from your graveyard, put a Decay counter on each of X target creatures, activate only as a sorcery. This can be a great way to make your opponent's creatures unable to block. In addition to all this card is a cheap demon to help you enable your Unholy Annexes. This will keep both the damage and card advantage flowing. Now in red, it is hard to ignore Tersa Light Shatter, a 3/3 for 3 with haste. When it enters, discard up to 2 cards, then draw that many cards. Whenever it attacks, if there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard, exile a card at random from your graveyard. You may play that card this turn. There is just so much good stuff happening on this creature. This is going to be a strong option in red aggro decks, and we wouldn't be surprised to see it pop up in a few different unique decks. Now in green, we have Nature's Rhythm, a green sorcery for X and double green. Search your library for a creature card with mana value X or less, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Now this card is very reminiscent of Finale of Devastation, but this one can also be cast and have its cost reduced from the graveyard. It will be very interesting to see how players build these green creature decks utilizing the new Harmonize ability. Speaking of the power of Harmonize, our multicolored card that we are calling out is Songcrafter Mage. And of course it is a reference to the classic card Snapcaster Mage. It's a 3/2 for Teamer. It has flash, and when this creature enters, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains Harmonize until end of turn. Its Harmonize cost is equal to its mana cost. Now yes, color requirements are something that will greatly affect the decks that can play this card. However, the fact that this card gives Harmonize versus Flashback allows you to tap a creature, including itself, to reduce the cost of the spell that you target by the power of the creature. This essentially gives you a rebate on the mana that you use to cast Songcrafter Mage. Herd Migration jumps out as one of the most obvious targets for this card. Regardless of how many decks this one shows up in, it's going to be a fun one for brewers to play around with. Now lastly, we have the format of Commander. We'll go through our favorite cards in each color that we feel will be the most exciting in bracket 4 or below. In white, players are sure to love the Planeswalker Elspeth Stormslayer. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many tokens are created instead. The static ability itself is more than enough to grab the attention of any token deck that is in white. And 5 mana is a good rate for this card, especially considering that all of the other abilities give your deck options to respond to the board state. Especially with that 0 ability, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Those creatures gain flying until your next turn. This ability itself can help a token deck close out the game. Now one quick additional call out in white is Voice of Victory. Its static ability makes it a strong stacks piece for low to the ground decks. Now additionally, for all my CEDH bracket 5 players, this is a great option to consider as a replacement or alongside a card like Grand Abolisher. And if Tymna is one of your partners, then the Mobilize ability here is going to be great to get you some extra value. Now in blue, Taigam Master Opportunist is going to be a unique commander. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, copy it. Then exile the spell you cast with 4 time counters on it. If it doesn't have Suspend, it gains Suspend. This as a commander wants to be very considerate of what it's casting as its second spell. And what's great is that it's based around the entire turn cycle. And of course, this is because Suspend happens at the beginning of your upkeep, and the spells cast do not need to be from hand. So the trigger can happen off of another suspended cast. We love the idea of setting up some big powerful spells to continually get copied and resuspend each time they come off suspend. And it can get even more powerful with manipulating your suspend counters with cards like Clock Spinning or any of the time travel cards that came from the Doctor Who set. These cards allow you to remove the time counters from your suspend cards to recast them even faster. Now for black, we are loving Sidisi Region of the Mire, a unique graveyard build around that is sure to be plenty of fun to pilot. It's essentially a black birthing pod, but for your graveyard on a commander. You can tap it, sacrifice a creature you control with mana value X other than Sidisi, return target creature card with mana value X +1 from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. Being able to untap this is going to be ideal to maximize your value. The sacrifice itself fuels the ability, allowing for that creature to be targeted later on. Having a toolbox of creatures with strong ETB effects will make this quite a unique deck to pilot. Sasha and myself are really excited to brew around with this one. Now how could you not notice the red card Dracogenesis? I've heard all of you Dragon players screaming from the rooftop. And speaking of rooftop, this is essentially rooftop storms for dragons. Now is this card actually incredibly busted? Well, it does cost 8 mana, but the effect is no joke. This one definitely seems like it was designed for you Timmy players, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. For 8 mana, it's an enchantment that reads, you may cast dragon spells without paying their mana cost. It's a very straightforward card. If you love Kindred Dragons, then you will absolutely be including this in probably all of those decks. Now in green, we are loving the card Warden of the Grove. It's a 2/2 for 3 mana. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Whenever another non-token creature you control enters, it endures X, where X is the number of counters on this creature. Put X +1/+1 counters on the creature that entered, or create an XX white spirit creature token. This is a great value engine that synergizes well with decks that have +1/+1 counters. This is a card that can get out of control quickly by giving any future creatures, more counters, or creating a bunch of tokens. This definitely has some Master Biomancer vibes to it. Now for multicolored, a commander that stood out to us is Kotis the Fangkeeper. It's essentially Villainous Wealth on a commander. It has Indestructible, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, exile the top X cards of their library, where X is the number of damage dealt. You may cast any number of spells with mana value X or less from among them without paying their mana cost. Pump this commander and give it Trample, Death Touch, or Unblockable. From there, you're going to be getting some amazing value right out of your opponent's deck. If you love theft decks that like to win with your opponent's deck, then this will be a commander you will love. This feels like an awesome ability that will offer one of the most unique theft approaches for a commander deck. Now you are ready to smash into limited, standard, and commander with all the exciting cards from Tarkir Dragonstorm. Which cards and decks are you looking forward to brewing around most? And let us know in the comments which cards and formats you're excited for most. Tarkir Dragonstorm is available on MTG Arena April 8th and everywhere April 11th. Find an event at locator.wizards.com or the locator feature inside of the companion app.